do any of us really know exactly what we're doing on this massive rock that is spinning around the universe? So, one of the things that I've noticed about stress in my own life over the years is that oftentimes when I get that feeling of overwhelm, that feeling of everything feels like it's too much, I realise I'm in that hole again. I realise I'm in that place where I'm trying to do too much, I'm trying to fit in too much, I'm trying to keep people happy. And I often feel in a stressful situation that I'm stretching myself, which is not in itself a bad thing. Like it's kind of good to be stretching and building resiliency, but at the same time, let's face it, when you're stressed, it just feels too much. So how can we live in this world, in relationships, paying our bills, communicating effectively, eating the right foods, creating boundaries, taking our supplements, remembering to take our supplements every day. How do we manage the humanness of all of it, which sometimes feels like a lot? How do we manage all of that without being stressed, without getting stressed? It's tough, isn't it? This morning, actually the last few days, I have recognised that I've been in that same kind of feeling, where I'm a bit more agitated than usual. I'm not quite as relaxed. And it got me thinking about, why I first came to yoga. I remember, yoga and meditation, I had never even thought of doing these practices. And it got me thinking too about how many of us are out in the world feeling stressed right at this moment. I'm not alone, I know that. When I feel stressed, I feel a little bit unclear in my head. And I have to remind myself, and this has only been a recent thing, I have to remind myself that, hey, Amanda, it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay at the end of the day. And then sometimes it's not. And I realise that I'm trying to control a lot of stuff. And I can't control everything. I can control some things. And so I guess that's what this video is about today. It's about me just kind of having a chat. I don't often do this because I want to control everything. It's me just wanting to have a little chat with you about stress and about navigating stress. And I'm not sitting here pretending that I know everything about how to manage stress, because I definitely don't. I'm still learning on planet Earth. I am not an enlightened or ascended being just yet. And sometimes when I'm in this place, I kind of get that I get to feeling that I'm very minuscule. And it's true, isn't it? My life is tiny. It's small in the spaciousness of the universe. Like the universe is so vast and big, and sometimes my problems feel vast and big. My stresses feel vast and big. And so it's like I'm living my little life, my big little life. And some days do feel enormous, and it feels like too much. So how do I climb out of the hole, out of the murkiness? How do we navigate that in the modern world? Like, how do we navigate stresses? How do we navigate stresses when life feels all too consuming? I do think it's different for all of us. And, you know, my problems to someone else might seem minuscule, but in the moment, in the heat of the moment, like in the heat of an argument, or in, you know, when I have some argy-bargy with my partner, or if I'm just navigating something internally, like a belief or something, it feels really big to me. Does that resonate with you? Do you feel like it feels like a big deal? Last week I had some nights where I was laying awake at night, which I hadn't had for a while, and I realised I had to get my sleep back on track. I remember years and years ago, it was probably during the middle of perimenopause, where I would be just laying awake, wired. I tend to sleep quite well these days, but sometimes I go through periods where I might be worrying about something and it'll wake me up in the middle of the night. And I remember during that time, a long time ago, when probably about 6 or 7 years ago, it's not a long time ago, but I remember thinking, I need to get my sleep back on track, and it just felt too hard. So I created a bit of a nighttime routine. I got myself a little watch, which gave me some good information about how many times I was waking a night, and I put together this nighttime routine, and in the end it worked really well. So I had to implement that again last week, just to make sure that I got myself back on track early. Most of the time I do sleep well now, but sometimes it just goes off track a little bit. So I don't know if that makes sense to you too. The other thing that I was thinking about was awareness. And awareness when we're stressed can be really challenging, because I don't know about you, but I get a bit overwhelmed, a bit murky, a bit unclear in my thinking when I'm stressed. And I've got this internal dialogue, and usually it's quite dire. It's like, ain't it awful, ain't it awful, ain't it awful? So bringing a sense of awareness, and I guess that's what I was alluding to before about, you know, it's okay, Manda, that can bring me back to, it's okay, it's going to be all right. And awareness, by awareness, I'm not talking about something airy-fairy here. I'm talking about feet on the ground. Feet on the ground, feeling my body, sensing my breath, you know, maybe journaling about what's going on. That's one of my go-tos every day. I mean, I do journal every morning with my cup of coffee, which is a bit of a ritual and an absolute treat every morning, and I feel blessed that I can do that. So awareness, bringing a sense of awareness to my situation is, it's not airy-fairy. It's about me being kind, about us learning to be kind to ourselves, and almost like a small child, you know, saying, hey, it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. It'll be fine. Whatever we need to do in that moment. I can think of a number of times in my other job where I've been stressed, and I've had to learn to become very aware in order to evolve in my skills and my abilities and my levels of communication. And I wouldn't have grown more resilient if I hadn't have become aware of where I needed to grow. And letting go of ways of being that were no longer serving me, and ideas that I had in my mind, about playing small and being of a certain sex. So awareness can build so much for us around stress and where our stresses come from, because sometimes our stresses have come from generational stress, which is kind of rolled into our beliefs, our limiting beliefs about who we are and what we're able to do in the world. The other thing that I've noticed, and I noticed this last week when I was going through this little stressful episode, was nature plays a massive part in me regulating myself. Jill and I were out walking in the forest last week, and we were like, I don't know, it must have been 3 or 4 minutes into a walk, and I just went, oh my God, can you feel that, Jill? And she said, yeah, I can. And it was being out in the green of the forest, walking and talking and being with my friend. It just felt so regulating for my stress levels. I think we've all got to work out our own way of navigating stress, but I know that one of my go-tos is getting out there in that forest and going for a damn good walk. I already spoke a little bit about journaling in my bed in the morning, and I just want to talk a little bit more about journaling, because journaling can be different for different people. What I learnt, and I don't know actually where I learnt this, I'm not sure where I learnt this or where I heard this, but it was stream writing. So just writing whatever's coming into my mind. So in the morning, go and get myself a cup of coffee, and I go back to bed and I sit in my bed and I just stream write and it used to be a certain amount of time, but I don't put a time limit on it now. And I just write what is coming into my mind so that I can pour it out onto the paper. And sometimes there's some real revelations. Sometimes I get my best ideas in the morning journaling or in the shower just after. I feel like that, that rolls into meditation, because after I journal, I meditate. And the reason I do, sometimes I go back and forth, sometimes I do go back and forth. I usually journal first, then meditate. And I feel like the journaling just kind of clears my head enough that I can sit still. But that's the other thing I was going to talk about too, was meditation, and how meditation can take many forms. It doesn't necessarily have to be sitting still, like the old austerities. It can be swimming, it could be painting, it could be drawing a picture, it could be staring at the clouds. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting still. It can be dancing. It can be anything you want it to be. It could be walking meditation, walking in the forest. Whatever it is, it's a way of seeing the monkey mind for what it is. A whole lot of habitual thought patterns. What do they say? We have 99% of the same thoughts the day after. So whatever gets us into that mode of being able to witness our mind, and then be kind to our mind, maybe. I don't know, you tell me what meditation is to you. The next thing I was thinking was, about having a friend. And I feel blessed that I have my mum, Jill, as my friend, but I do have other friends. And, when I was thinking about this whole video idea, I was thinking about, get a friend, have a friend, make a friend. But I was also thinking about people that are a bit shy and introverted and maybe not wanting to go out there in the world. And I was thinking, even ChatGPT can be a really good friend to process stuff. I love walking and talking, and I reckon friends are worth their weight in gold to be able to share, to talk, to listen, to communicate, to feel heard, to feel understood. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to have a friend. And if we just start with ChatGPT, you never know where that might roll on to. I think it's probably my top stress technique, having a friend, being loved by a friend, being heard by a friend. I didn't want to get into science, but we humans are wired for connection. We are wired for connection, and our devices just take us away from that connection. Although in this situation, there is a connection. So not all devices are equal, and not all connections via devices are equal either. So if this is connection for you, then go with that. I think the thing about friends too is we don't necessarily all of the time need advice. It's just nice to have someone next to us, to walk with us, to share with. I think when we recognise that stress is a part of life and that it has a place. When you think about, we were all little babies once and we were relying on our parents. We had to make sure that we had the love of our parents to survive. We have an inherent need as human beings to survive, and that's part and parcel of what the nervous system is doing. It's making sure that we're surviving, but also thriving well in the tribes that we have, with the connections that we have. I am by no means a stress expert. Well, I am actually, I have to say. I'm an expert because I deal with stress and I learn from stress, and I'm growing in stress, and I'm becoming more and more resilient the older I get. And I think when we see stress as that it can pay dividends if we learn and grow in the cycles of stress. Stress, like I found last week, I felt overwhelmed. There was too much on my plate. I had to adjust. I had to readjust the expectations that I had. But I also think that, unconscious patterning plays a huge part. Becoming aware of our habitual cycles and growing and learning in that arena is vital in this day and age. I completely get it. I am with you. I am right in the ring. This fly is pissing me off. It's stressing me out. Life is challenging. We definitely go through difficult times. It's true. We also experience joys. We recognise that we're trying to control too much, and then the essentials like good sleep, like phoning a friend, like getting out in nature, because we're doing too much other stuff, they fall by the wayside. Awareness starts to get lost in the murkiness of stress. So for me, this is not about controlling everything. And when I open my awareness, I recognise, hey, I'm awake, I'm aware, I have tools that I can use, But sometimes I just have to let everything fall and let everything drop. I think in this day and age, we have so much information at our fingertips. It's almost too much. And we get lost down that rabbit hole of finding out how I'm going to cure this and how I'm going to fix that. I realise not all stress is equal. And I realise that I am privileged. I'm a privileged person that can sit in my bed in the morning and have a cup of coffee and journal and meditate and go walking in the forest, and that I have a job, and that, yeah, I'm privileged. Absolutely. I also realise that my mind overthinks a lot, and in turn my body gets stressed and I get tense, and that builds up and becomes sometimes overwhelming. But also I'm building a sense of resilience at the same time. I am sorry that we're running around like stressed out blue-assed flies. But then again, stress has a way of building up strength, doesn't it? And it's about finding that happy medium where we're not always in a stressful cycle, where we're not always stressed. I think probably one of the best things that I've learned from stress is humility and self-compassion. I don't know everything. I haven't got it all sorted out. And sometimes stress helps me pull my head in and recognise that, yeah, I haven't got it all sorted, and that there is something to work on here, and that is a valuable place to be in, a valuable place of learning and growing. And even though life gets overwhelming sometimes, I think it's good to remember that you're not the only one, I'm not the only one, that there are ways back to ourselves, and that we can be gentle, and that we can cultivate some skills and some knowledge and some wisdom, and we can definitely develop patterns of resilience and releasing what is not serving us anymore, releasing limiting ideas of who we were. So, I had this idea to make this video, to make it, I don't know, I didn't want to kind of get on here and be the guru about stress. I wanted to be the friend who was stressed as well. And I think that that's helpful to remember. Do any of us really know exactly what we're doing on this massive rock that is spinning around the universe? Let me know if you've got it all figured out, because I'd like to know. And thanks, if you are here and you are watching this and you've been here this whole time, thank you. Thank you. Let me know how you deal with stress. Let me know how you roll in this sometimes stressful, sometimes magical. Let me know how you navigate your way through stress. I'd be interested to know. Anyway, we're here. Thanks for being here.